Jim Harbaugh, welcome back to California. Doc Rivers, welcome back to the NBA. Hello again, my name is Lewis, and you've joined our daily sports recap program here on my YouTube channel. We are talking sports for the 24th of January, 2024. If you've not watched this channel before, we basically cover your basic sports overview, hopefully give you a little bit of information to take with you for the water cooler, and try to cover all the sports as we can, and hopefully you get a kick out of it. As we started, Jim Harbaugh, the college coach of the Michigan Wolverines, your national champions, has decided to go back to the NFL and actually back to California, where he's coached the University of Stanford and he coached the San Francisco 49ers. And now he's going to be the coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. It appears that this agreement was actually starting to be worked on the previous day, but it got finalized today. And the deal is reported to be for 5 years. And the belief is that Harbaugh wanted a chance to get the title in the NFL that he missed when he was coaching the 49ers. He did lead them to a couple conference title games and to one Super Bowl. You might remember it was against his brother John and the Baltimore Ravens, who are actually in the playoffs this weekend. And there was the infamous power outage in the game. And, of course, Baltimore went on to win that game. That was Joe Flacco's Super Bowl MVP season. They gained him a big contract and ended up within a couple years sending Jim, back to the college ranks where he had coached at Stanford. You might remember he coached a quarterback named Andrew Luck while he was there as well. So Jim Harbaugh taking a chance to lead the Chargers, where he actually played quarterback for 2 seasons for them. Try to take a chance and lead them to a successful season with their young quarterback Justin Herbert. They've got a huge payroll, expected to be a little bit, I think, over the projected payroll for next season. So he's going to come in and have to do some changes already, but we'll see what happens. There's a lot of belief that Harbaugh is trying to escape what punishment may be coming for the University of Michigan and sanctions there. But at this point, he's won the national title, and now he's going to try to continue his legacy in the NFL. So we'll see how well that works for him. The belief is that Michigan has targeted their assistant coach, who, if you remember when Harbaugh was actually suspended during the season, his assistant coach led the team to all the victories because they were undefeated this year. And so we'll see what happens for the Chargers. We'll talk the NBA in a little bit. We're going to go ahead and cover some hockey really quick. You all know I've mentioned already I'm a Bruins fan, and having to report that they lost for only the 4th time at home, 3-2 to the Hurricanes. They were actually down 2-0 going into the 3rd period. Unfortunately, they gave up 1 goal. They only scored 2. That means you lose. So congrats to the Hurricanes on that one. And the Bruins still under 10 losses for the season, but they are now 29-9-9 overall. In other games, the Maple Leafs win in overtime 1-0 at home against the Jets, so that's a big win for them. The Panthers win at home against the Coyotes 6-2. The Washington Capitals lose on the road to the Colorado Avalanche 6-2. Avalanche improved to 19-5 at home, so good for them. St. Louis Blues win in overtime in Vancouver 4-3. The Vancouver did score 3 goals in the 3rd period to make it a game, but Blues got the overtime goal. Canucks dropped to 17-4-2 at home, so only for the 4th time they lose. Well, that second in the overtime. The Kraken win at home against the Blackhawks 6-2, and the Sabres win on the road 5-3 against the Kings. You know, we like to cover women's and men's college basketball because we're Connecticut fans, so we go for the ranked scores. In women's college basketball, number 10 Texas was upset at home by unranked Oklahoma, 91-87. Texas drops to 18-3 on the season. And number 21, Creighton wins on the road at Georgetown 77-72. Those are your ranked scores for the women's game. In men's college basketball, the upset of the day was number 8 Auburn losing at Alabama 79-75. Only the third loss on the season for Auburn. Number 22 Florida Atlantic wins at Rice 69-56. Number 10 Illinois loses on the road in overtime to Northwestern 96-91. Marquette, number 14 in the nation, wins at DePaul 86-73. DePaul drops to 0-8 in the Big East, 3-16 overall. Ugh. Number 23 Iowa State wins at home against Kansas State 78-67. Number 24 Colorado State loses at Nevada 77-64. Both teams are now 3-3 in the Mountain West. Colorado State drops to 15-4. Nevada improves to 16-4. And number 25, New Mexico wins at San Jose State 95-75. Those are your men's games. In the Australian Open, we'll let you know we're down to the quarterfinals on the women's side. Let's see how well I do with these names. Unranked Diana Yastremska will face number 12 ranked Qinwen Sheng. The key about Yastremska, I don't know if you want to go back this far, but 3 rounds earlier defeated the number 1 seed in the tournament, and then the next round after that, there was Linda Noskova. She beat the number 1 seed, and then the next round she won in a 1-round match as her opponent had to retire, and then she lost in straight sets to Yastremska. So the person that beat the person that was number 1. So we'll see how well that goes. In the other semifinal, Arnya Sabalenka will face number 4 seed and American Coco Gauff. We'll see how well that goes. Those are both slated here because it's the Australian Open, the timing's going to be a little off, but we should see results on that here on the next report. On the men's side, your final 4 in the semifinals. Number 1, Novak Djokovic. Then the 1 seed will face the number 4 seed, Yannick Sinner. The other semifinal will have Daniil Medvedev, the number 3 seed, facing Alexander Zverev. There we go. The number 6 seed. And then the winner of that should be facing off to end that tournament. So got some good matchups, at least based on the seeding. We'll see how that works out. I'll be completely transparent. I don't follow it, but maybe as I do this channel, I'll be required to do a little more research on my tennis stuff. I'm a big fan of the U.S. Open when that comes up, and of course with Wimbledon, I like to see the results. So we'll do a little more research and try to get to learn more about these players as time moves on. But those are your tennis scores. All right, to end our discussion here today, we will talk about our NBA scores. So starting off, the Minnesota Timberwolves get back on the winning side. Anthony Edwards drops 38 on the Wizards as they win 118-107 in Washington. To go along with Anthony's 38 points, Karl Anthony Towns added 27 and 6 rebounds. Rudy Gobert, the double-double machine, got 19 points with 16 rebounds. Just so you know, 9 of those were defensive and 7 were offensive, so big gift to him there. So good win for Minnesota. For Washington, their top scorer was Denny Avdija. He scored 24 points. And Kyle Kuzma added 17 with 14 rebounds. Marvin Bagley, 17 points with 15 rebounds. So a lot of rebounds, but just not enough points. Again, Minnesota 118, Washington 107. The Detroit Pistons, believe it or not, got their 5th win of the season, defeating the Charlotte Hornets 113-106. For Detroit, they were led in scoring by Bojan Bogdanovic. He scored 34 points. 15 were scored by Alec Burks. Nice score there. For the Hornets, they were led in scoring. They had three players over 20 points. Sorry, led by Brandon Miller's 23 points, 7 rebounds. Nick Richards 21 points and 10 rebounds, and Miles Bridges 20 points and 10 rebounds. Not enough though, as the Pistons again win for just the 5th time this season, 113-106. The Memphis Grizzlies shut down the Heat 105-96. Memphis was led in scoring by Vince Williams. Another big game for him, 25 points. Second in scoring was Gigi Jackson, added 17. John Concher had 11 points and 10 rebounds to provide that double-double there. For Miami, they were led in scoring. They got 18 points from Tyler Hero, and then they got 15 from Caleb Martin, Bam Adebayo, and Jimmy Butler. Bam also had 15 rebounds. Again, not enough. Memphis 105-96 winners. Cleveland loses at Milwaukee. So Milwaukee, we'll talk about their coaching change here in a bit, but apparently having the second best record in the NBA and second in the East was not enough for the general manager and the powers that be there in Milwaukee. So they went and fired their coach after 43 games and have hired Doc Rivers to be their coach. And to celebrate that win, they went ahead and won 126-116. Giannis Antetokounmpo got 35 points, 18 rebounds, 10 assists for yet another triple-double. Damian Lillard chipped in 28. Chris Middleton added 24 points. For Cleveland, they were led in scoring by 23 points from Donovan Mitchell with 7 rebounds and 8 assists for him, 21 and 12 rebounds from Jarrett Allen. But again, not enough. Milwaukee 126-116 winners. The Portland Trailblazers win in overtime, 137-131. Portland led in scoring by 33 points from Anthony Simons. They got 21 from Jeremy Grant, who had also 9 assists. And then DeAndre Ayton finally playing like that number one player he was drafted as, 18 points, 17 rebounds. And by the way, if you've been following following Portland and seeing that Malcolm Brogdon was doing a lot out there, he added 19 points for the Portland Trailblazers. I keep an eye on him because he was a Celtic last year, and even though we bombed out in the playoffs, I do like him as a player, and glad to see that he's getting some time and respect out there. Just hope that they keep winning for his sake. The Houston Rockets were led in scoring by again, Alperen Sengun, who got 30 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists. Jalen Green added 29 points, but it wasn't enough. As, again, in overtime, Portland 137-131 winners. The Phoenix Suns extend their winning streak to 7 games as they beat the Dallas Mavericks 132-109. Dallas did play without Kyrie Irving, who had a sprained thumb. So Luka led the way with 34 points. Tim Hardaway added 17. By the way, Luka also had 8 rebounds and 9 assists, so just shy of another triple-double. But it was a rough game for him. We'll talk about that in a second. For the Suns, Devin Booker dropped 46 points and 7 rebounds. Bradley Beal added 20 points and 7 rebounds and 7 assists. Kevin Durant had only 12 points, but he did also have 10 rebounds and 7 assists. Again, the Suns win 132-109. If you do watch anything about the game, you will see that Luka had a rough game and actually had a fan ejected due to some heckling. So you could just tell the frustrations kicking in there. But he was able to finish the game. And so we'll see what happens if there's any punishment or anything, if he did anything wrong in that. Oklahoma City wins on the road against the Spurs in a battle of the young West teams. Final 140-114. Oklahoma City was led in scoring by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's 32 points and 10 assists. 17 points came from Chet Holmgren, and 13 each from Jalen Williams and Cason Wallace. For the Spurs, Victor Wembanyama, 24 points, 12 rebounds. Devin Vassell scored 21 and had 7 assists and 5 rebounds. But again, not enough. Thunder cruise 140 to 114. And last but definitely not least, the Golden State Warriors returned to the court. If you remember last week, one of their assistant coaches, Dejan Milojevic, passed away from a heart attack. And so this is their first game back, and they honored him with a moment of silence. They did the Serbian national anthem. They had special shirts on that said the word "brat," which was brother in I think it's Slovenian. And what was really neat to read about was that each of the jerseys that they had, they put on the chair that would have been the assistant coach's chair. Plus, the assistant coach's wife and children were there and received a long-standing ovation. So my heart goes out to those three, and obviously the team. In the end, this is just sports. These are just games. And now, obviously, these players that play, it's their job, it's their career. But in the end, what's bigger, what's important is family. And so the Golden State Warriors did go out and win the game, 134 to 112. Golden State was led 3 players over 20 points. Jonathan Kuminga had 25 with 9 rebounds. Stephen Curry, 25 points with 8 assists. And Klay Thompson, 24 points. And so a nice balanced effort there. And for Atlanta, they got 23 points from DeJounte Murray, who added 7 rebounds. Jalen Johnson added 21. And Bogdan Bogdanovic scored 17 in a losing effort. But again, the overall big picture, what's more important, the opportunity to honor their fallen coach. And again, I don't want to say I'm glad they won, because obviously the in the end, it's a small thing whether or not they won. I think it was big for them to win because they wanted to honor their coach. But even if they lost, they were going to still do the best they could to honor their coach. As I mentioned before, the Bucks did hire Doc Rivers, the former Coach of the Year when he was coaching the Orlando Magic. Being a Celtics fan, obviously, he coached our team and was the coach of the last team that actually won a championship. And so I don't know how good it'll be to see him coaching one of our rivals, but I'm glad to see him back in the NBA. Anyway, we've gone kind of long, but those are your sports for the day. I'll tell you what, just remembering that story from the Golden State coach, just remember to take time, hug a loved one, call a loved one if you haven't talked to them in a while, because you just never know when something bad could happen. And obviously we're not promoting something bad happening, but since you never know, just take that opportunity, because you just don't know what'll happen. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.